Hello there everyone and welcome to Let's Play Super Metroid on the Super Nintendo. But we're playing on the Wii Virtual Console instead. This isn't just a normal playthrough, this is a challenge Let's Play. We are trying to do a suitless run, which means that we are going to skip both the Warrior suit and the Gravity suit. I will not explain things here like I usually would do in a Let's Play. For example, I'm not really going to talk about the game in general. I assume that you've played the game before and that you know some things. Otherwise you probably wouldn't watch a challenge run, right? And yeah. So with that being said, let's go. And well, right now we're at the worst part of the entire game, which is the intro, which has a major flaw, and that's the simple fact that the text is scrolling too slowly. The optimal solution would be if they made it so that you can just skip the intro by pressing start or something, but can't do that. You have to go through it. The next best thing they could have done would have been to just have the text appear instantly, and in order to advance the plot you have to press A, right? Press A to make the next bunch of text appear, right? But they didn't do it like that either. So the final thing they could have done is to make it so that you can hold down the A button to make the text scroll faster, but they didn't even do that either. There's absolutely no way to speed the intro up, and so you have no choice but to watch it every single goddamn time, which is annoying as all hell. The only way to basically avoid that is to go to ZEBES station and then to have that save file and copy it to another file, so that every time you just start that save file right on ZEBES station. But I need all my free save files, so I can't do that. So I have no choice but to watch the freaking intro every goddamn time. However, with all my talking, we've successfully sitten through the intro, and so it's time to start for real. It's always the same thing in the beginning. You do ZEBES station. We are not going to do anything special here. I will explain a little bit of the history of the Suitless run after we basically start for real, you know, after we land on ZEBES. But right now let's just quickly go through ZEBES station here. But yeah, again, the intro, I mean, that's just absolutely horrible that you have absolutely no way to speed this up. I mean, by now everybody knows the freaking story by heart. And even in old NES games you had the option to skip intros to games, so no idea what they were thinking here in not being able to skip the intro at all. I mean, to not even be able to speed it up in any sort of way. So that was Ridley. Quickest way, of course, I'm pretty sure everybody knows that by now, is to just get hit on purpose, because the battle stops if you reach low health, which is 30 energy units or lower, you know, where this annoying sound starts to warn you that you have low health, that you're low on health, I mean. We are currently halfway through. I am not really good at this game, and I suck really hard at speedruns, and I also hate the escape in particular, and most of the time I can't even get it in under 20 seconds. This time I successfully did it. We had 40 seconds and 37 hundredths of a second left, so I barely escaped in under 20 seconds, which is already good for me. Planet ZEBES, let us finally go. And I guess it's now appropriate to just talk a little bit about the history of this challenge run. Back in 2004 I saw a challenge run on archive.org by Red Scarlet, which was called a NBMB run, a no boss mini boss run, where the goal is to acquire as many items as possible without fighting any boss or mini boss other than Ridley on ZEBES Station and Torizo, you know, the boss who guards the morphball bombs. I guess they don't count Torizo because you can skip the Torizo fight technically. You can run away before the door closes and then you don't have to fight him. It's a bit easier on the European PAL version because the door takes a bit longer to close there, you know, because of the difference between 50 Hz and 60 Hz, you know, the frequency difference. 50 frames per second on the European PAL version as opposed to 60 frames per second on the American NTSC version. And that allows you to skip the Torizo a bit easier, even although it's still incredibly difficult on console, and it's much more a task thing only, you know, tool assisted. Although people have skipped the Torizo on console in the European version. So yeah, a no boss mini boss run in 2004 on archive.org by Red Scarlet. Red Scarlet was a very famous classic 2D Metroid game speedrunner. She had a lot of records on Super Metroid and Metroid Zero Mission. And she had a 72% no-boss mini-boss run on archive.org, which I found really impressive because she had to go through Lower Norfair without any suit, and that makes you obviously get a ton of damage, and you have to be really fast to go through there, so that's really impressive. And you also have to make it deep into Meridia without the gravity suit, which is awkward as all fuck, because it's difficult to move underwater without the gravity suit, of course. And so yeah, that was a really impressive thing, the no-boss mini-boss run. The max percentage back then was 73%, but there was a particularly tough underwater power bomb expansion in Meridia, so she got 72% only instead, but it was still impressive nonetheless. There's an energy tank here. You can't jump high enough to reach it. There's a technique called crouch jumping, where if you crouch and then you jump, like so, you jump a little bit higher. You can see it. I was touching the bottom part of the energy tank with the crouch jump, and I was partially inside the energy tank, but even the crouch jump is still barely not far enough to reach that energy tank. But we will acquire that energy tank early anyway, in a few minutes. So yeah, the no boss mini boss run, it was really impressive, but the disappointing thing kinda, of course, about it is that you don't finish the game, and in my opinion that makes it kinda a little bit of a pointless challenge, you know, because if you don't even finish the game, then what's the point of the challenge? I think you should at least be able to beat the game. And what I was thinking was, you know, obviously without any suit, Meridia and Norfair were so difficult, and I was thinking, wouldn't it be cool if you could beat the entire game without picking up a suit? And back then it wasn't really possible, and the problem of course was Draygon, right? Because not only can you not exit the room of Draygon itself, but also the room after him is problematic without the gravity suit. And so Draygon was a huge problem back then. And I've seen a forum post in 2005 in a forum called samus.nl, which I think is just a backup of a site named samus.co.uk, which doesn't exist anymore. It's a site that was owned by Andrew Mills. And yeah, on that site there was a forum topic in 2005 where somebody has asked, is it possible to skip the gravity suit? And Red Scarlet herself has actually given a reply in that topic, and she said it should be possible by getting a free Shinespark from Draygon by using a crystal flash while he grabs you. However, she forgot one detail, and that's the room after Draygon. And nobody really bothered to reply in that topic. So yeah, nobody replied, and nobody then actually continued to experiment with a suitless run, but it was probably still impossible because nobody bothered to really try Draygon. And so people didn't even probably realize that the room after Draygon was a problem. I grabbed that energy tank early by doing a damage boost from one of those enemies here. I believe they're called Zoomers, but they could be Geemers. I always mix up Zoomers and Geemers, but I think they're Zoomers. But anyway, yeah, I did a little damage boost there and got that energy tank. I also got that on first try, while talking non-stop, which is really random and weird, because usually I need many attempts to get that damage boost right, but this time it worked on the first attempt. It's a bit difficult because the enemy has to hit you from the proper angle so that you get a slight boost upwards towards the energy tank. If you do it wrong, then the enemy will bounce you downwards, and that will obviously not be helpful in getting that energy tank. So yeah, Draygon was the key problem in a potential suitless run. And then on my favorite site in terms of sequence breaking and techniques, Metroid2002.com, which was really popular back then, they made an update in 2007 on the Super Metroid page, and that update basically consisted of a lot of videos under the category skipping the gravity suit. When I found out about this, I shat my fucking pants, you know, like when I read the site update with skipping the gravity suit, and in particular they had a section on Draygon in skipping the gravity suit. When I saw that, I was like, holy fucking shit, that's amazing. You can actually finally complete the game suitless. And that was just awesome as hell. But Draygon is actually really, really hard to beat suitless. You have to do glitches and stuff, and it's really, really awkward. And so I wasn't able to actually do a suitless run until many years later, but now I can do it relatively consistently and without too much problems. But yeah, it was really special for me in 2007 to see that it was finally possible to do a suitless run. And it was even more special when I finally did it years later myself. And yeah, that's just really awesome. And yeah, and that's a bit about the story on the suitless run. It was basically solved in 2007. I think the site update was like 10th of March 2007 or something. And that was just really, really cool. So the thing here about Torizo is if you just spam missiles really quickly, then not all missiles will hit him, because if you hit him, he flashes white for a brief moment, and if you hit him while he flashes white, then he won't take any extra damage. So you are actually defeating him faster if you rhythmically fire your missiles rather than just spamming them non-stop and real quick. Yeah, just a little speed info here. You can do some wall jumps here to exit to the left a little bit quicker. I could get some missile expansions down in Criteria, but we really don't need them. I'm not going to do a max percent suitless run either, because we don't need those missile expansions. Normal missile expansions are pretty useless. So we'll just try to grab important items instead. Now I'll show you how to get most of the items without having a suit. These enemies here are invulnerable to the normal beam, and I'm not going to waste any missiles on them or anything. So it's just take some damage and go through here. Let me refill some of my health with these guys here. Let's get that energy before it disappears. Okay, now we're back to full health. And then let's quickly go down to Brinstar. But yeah, the concept of a suitless run, to actually finish the game without a suit, to be there at the end without the suits in your inventory, that was amazing. And that's not a pointless challenge in my opinion, because as I said, you can actually see the fact that you don't have any suit in your inventory all the time, and that And so you can actually prove at the end of the game that you made it all the way without any suit. And it's also reflected in your item percentage, because you are missing the 2% points for gravity suit and various suit. Let's quickly do a mock ball here, except I failed horribly. I'm going to get the super missiles early with a mock ball. At least I can grab this normal missile expansion now that I failed because I fell down this block. So missing the trick wasn't completely worthless for now. But yeah, we're trying to do a mock ball. So you're basically running, and then you do a spin jump. Then you let go of the run button, but you keep holding the jump button. And I press down once as we jump, and then as soon as you hit the ground, you press down again and morph, and then you should be able to roll at the same speed as if you were dashing. It's basically like dashing in the morph ball. This is the only Metroid 2D Metroid game which has a dash button, which is by default the B button. Took me 3 attempts to get that mock ball going, which is really weak. I usually get it on my first try, but let's accept that anyway. At least I got that enemy damage boost on the first attempt before. We can also grab a reserve tank and 2 extra missile expansions with this too. And that's just a thing that's in general a bit weird about Super Metroid. Like there are item upgrades so close to each other here in this game. It's unreal. Like in this room there's 2 expansions on the same piece of map, you know, on the same tile, right here where we are. Which is a bit mean too, because the dot basically only implies that there's an item here, and you might think, okay, so I got the item in that room, but in reality there's 2 items in that room. So that's kind of weird about Super Metroid. But yeah, a single mock ball trick allows us to get a reserve tank, 2 missile expansions, and a super missile expansion early. And yeah, I can't stress enough how awesome, what an awesome feeling it is to be at the end of the game in your plain yellow suit. It really means that you've gone through a lot if you actually beat the game like this, and that's why I always was interested in doing this. Similarly, I was always interested in beating Metroid Prime 2 without the dark suit and without energy tanks, which I finally achieved in 2014 by defeating Quadroxus without dark suit and without energy tanks. So yeah, I was always interested in the suitless things, and also, I'm an idiot, I went through the wrong door. I always mix that up for some reason. I always think that there's the safe station here, but in reality this just leads to the map station. And entering here costs a huge amount of time, because you need to defeat all enemies before you can open that door here again, because it turns grey and then shuts as you enter the room. Yeah, let's not bother with the map station. Let's instead just go to the safe station and I'll call that a video here. This was part 1 of the Suitless Super Metroid challenge. We are 2 energy tanks and a reserve tank already. We will need those for Norfair, and we have just acquired an early super missile expansion. So in the next part we will continue from here. See you guys!